Hey there, ready for a deep dive into something truly mind-blowing. We're going to jump headfirst into the world of AI, artificial intelligence, and its impact on strategic decision-making. Specifically, we're going to be looking at how well AI can pick winning business ideas. Get ready to have your preconceptions challenged.
Yeah, it's a question that really has captivated the business world, right?
Yeah.
Can AI actually make these complex decisions that, I mean, until recently, were considered uniquely human? The research we're going to unpack suggests it's a lot closer than you might think.
Okay, so before we unleash AI on the entire entrepreneurial landscape, we wanted to see how it would handle some of those classic business tools, the heavy hitters, like Porter's five forces, for example. Like think back to business school if you dare.
Right.
Are those frameworks about to become vintage?
Well, it was really fascinating to see how AI tackled these established models, these frameworks. For example, when we asked it to analyze the business school industry using Porter's five forces, it honed in on some really critical factors.
Like what? Give us the juicy details.
Well, for one, it highlighted the increasing pressure from online education,
Right,
which, of course, that's a challenge that most traditional business schools are facing these days.
for sure.
And then it really honed in on faculty quality and brand reputation as key differentiators. It's almost like the AI was saying, hey, if you want to survive in this competitive landscape, you better have top-notch professors and a brand that people trust.
That's wild. So it's not just spitting out generic insights, it's actually understanding the nuances of the industry.
Exactly. And it gets even more interesting, right? So we presented the AI with, a hypothetical scenario. Let's say a business school decides to go all in on tech and entrepreneurship,
Okay.
right? So,
Sounds like a recipe for disaster waiting to happen. Was the AI bold enough to point that out?
oh, absolutely. It immediately raised some red flags, pointed out the volatile nature of the tech industry, the ethical considerations of funding student startups, and the potential mismatch with student expectations.
Wow.
It was surprisingly good at playing devil's advocate.
So it's not just a yes man blindly agreeing with whatever strategy is thrown its way.
Right.
I'm liking this AI more and more.
It's true. It was really interesting to see. It's capable of critical thinking, independent judgment, which is pretty remarkable for,
Yeah.
An AI.
Okay, enough theory. Let's talk about real-world applications. We didn't just want to keep this experiment confined to these hypothetical scenarios. We wanted to see how AI would perform with actual business plans on the line.
So we took things up a notch. We partnered with a leading European startup accelerator. They've got skin in the game. They're offering 30,000 euros in funding, mentorship, the whole 9 yards to the startups they select.
High stakes. So how did we incorporate the AI into this pressure cooker environment?
We gave the AI the problem section from actual entrepreneurs' business plans
Okay.
and asked it to generate the rest.
Oh, wow.
The proposed solution, the market approach, everything else that a compelling business plan needs.
Wow, so we're talking about real money here,
Right.
right? Real mentorship, potentially make or break opportunities for these startups. Did we throw the AI in the deep end without a life preserver? I mean, how did the investors even know which plans were, AI generated?
That's the really interesting part. We did a blind assessment. So we had these 250 experienced investors, and they evaluated both the AI-generated plans and the human-created ones, but they had no idea which was which.
Oh, wow.
It was a true blind taste test.
Okay, I need to know. How did the AI-generated plans do? Did they sink or swim?
They didn't just swim, they excelled.
No way.
The AI-generated plans, on average, scored higher than the ones that were written by human entrepreneurs.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
What were the investors looking at? And
Yeah.
what made the AI plan stand out?
So the investors, they looked at, the usual things, right? Innovation, feasibility, overall viability.
Sure.
The core elements of a good business plan. What was really interesting was that the AI wasn't just mimicking the format.
Right.
It was actually picking up on the underlying elements that VCs find attractive.
Mhm.
For example, both the AI and the investors consistently rated plans higher if they showed a deep understanding of the target market
Okay.
and a clear, achievable path to profitability.
So the AI was thinking like a seasoned investor.
Yeah.
That's incredible, but could it actually predict which startups would get the green light?
And that's where it gets really, really interesting because statistically, the AI-generated plans were more likely to be recommended for acceptance into the accelerator program.
Wow.
Now, that doesn't mean they were guaranteeing acceptance,
Right.
but it does suggest that the AI was onto something.
Okay, so the AI can write like a killer business plan, right?
Yeah.
And it might even be able to pick a winner, but I have to ask, I mean, isn't there more to evaluating a startup than just the business plan itself?
Oh, for sure.
What about those intangible factors?
Yeah.
Like the team's passion, their ability to pivot,
Right.
their grit.
Right.
Can AI even measure that?
You're absolutely right. The business plan is just one piece of the puzzle, and that's why we decided to push the AI even further. We wanted to see if it could go beyond just the plan and actually um, try to replicate the judgment of these seasoned investors when it came to, evaluating startups as a whole.
All right, so we're moving beyond just the business plan now, right? Like we're getting into those areas that, some people might call gut feelings.
Yeah, investor intuition.
Exactly. So how did you even begin to like test that?
Well, we went straight to the source.
Yeah.
We went to venture capitalists and angel investors, people with proven track records. We're talking about the people who decide where, millions, sometimes billions of dollars in funding go.
Yeah, these are the people who really shape industries, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so walk me through it. What was the setup for this part of the experiment?
Okay, so we took hundreds of business plans from a prestigious business school's startup competition.
Okay.
And these plans had already been rigorously evaluated by these seasoned investors,
Right.
right? And then we fed all of those plans to the AI,
Okay.
along with the investors' actual evaluations.
So the AI had access to the same information as the investors,
Right.
plus it knew the investors' final decisions.
Yeah.
Okay, that feels like a pretty high bar.
It was, because we wanted to see, could the AI learn to make the same judgments as these really experienced investors, even when it came to those, really subtle factors, those things that are hard to quantify.
So drumroll, please. What did you find? Could the AI actually see the future of these startups in its algorithms?
What we observed was actually pretty striking. There was a really strong positive correlation between the AI's evaluations and the scores given by the human investors.
Wow. So even when it came to like, those nuanced judgments, the AI was largely aligned with what the investors were thinking.
Yeah, and I mean, it wasn't a perfect match,
Sure.
but it was surprisingly close.
So what does that even mean? I mean, for the future of, venture capital, for the average entrepreneur out there with a dream.
I think this is really a glimpse into a future where AI isn't just like a tool for analysis, but it's really more of a partner in strategic decision making.
Wow.
Imagine being able to test your business idea in a virtual sandbox, essentially,
Right.
with AI simulating all these different market conditions and giving you feedback based on patterns it's learned from, thousands of successful and, not so successful startups.
So it's almost like having a team of like virtual mentors available 24/7, like guiding you through every step of building your business. But what about the human element, right? Is there a risk that we become, I don't know, overly reliant on these AI insights and maybe lose sight of our own intuition?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think as AI becomes even more sophisticated, the real challenge is going to be finding that balance.
Right. Leveraging its power, but not becoming slaves to these algorithms, right? The entrepreneurs and investors who are going to really thrive in this new landscape, they're going to be the ones who can integrate these AI insights with their own experience and, creativity, gut instinct.
This has been an incredible deep dive, eye-opening, thought-provoking, maybe even a little bit scary, if I'm being honest. But isn't that kind of the beauty of exploring, the unknown?
That's right.
We've gone from, AI dissecting these classic business frameworks to potentially like reshaping the way we think about strategy altogether.
And I think, we're just scratching the surface here. This is an
Right.
evolving landscape, and the implications for, businesses, entrepreneurs, investors, I mean, they're huge. One thing's for sure, the future of strategy is going to be a fascinating journey to watch unfold. And on that note, we're going to wrap up this deep dive, but we'll leave you with this final thought. If AI can learn to pick a winning startup, what other aspects of human decision-making might it be able to master? And more importantly, what does that mean for the future of human ingenuity, of human innovation?